Hey friends, Robin and Scott here with Live with US Microsoft EDU. We are coming to you from NOLA and we're on Bourbon Street.
In the heart of it all, right? I mean, this is like the place to be. You come to New Orleans, you want to spend some time on Bourbon Street, checking out the scene, having some great food, cocktails, and living the life for sure.
And a lot of people watching on Bourbon Street.
Phenomenal people watching. We've been out here over the weekend. Fantastic stuff.
But we're going to tune over to some people listening with our friends Rob Dixon and Amanda Young from Wichita Public Schools soon. So here we go. Good morning. We are live at ISTE in New Orleans. We are with our Live with US Microsoft EDU vodcast this morning. We've got some amazing educators and school leader guests here with us today. The amazing Rob Dixon and Amanda Young. Looking forward to lots of learning here in New Orleans, and we just wanted to kind of chat with these folks who were really leading the way and trailblazers in education, and have this opportunity to be in person with them and connect. So Scott, how's your conference faring so far?
It's been great. I mean, just to connect, we had our social last night, we had our learning event yesterday to get the MIE expert and showcase school community together, and just to be back in person having conversations. I think we all know we learn a lot from sessions, but we learn a lot more when we get to just hang out, converse, share experiences. So the chance to do that was wonderful over the weekend, and then again being able to sit down with Rob and Amanda and others throughout the week. Really looking forward to the conversations.
Yeah. So would you guys introduce yourselves, share with everybody who you are, what you do, where you're from, maybe a fun fact or two?
Yeah.
We'll kick it over to you, Rob.
Rob Dixon, Chief Information Officer for Wichita Public Schools. I've been there for about 2.5 years now. Today, we brought 21 people to ISTE from Wichita Public Schools.
Woohoo!
Amazing.
17 of those people have never been to ISTE before, so there's a
that's
lot
awesome.
of eyes
Great.
opening today. So I get the opportunity to be in charge of instructional technology, and then I get to work with Amanda on our virtual school.
And my name is Amanda Young, and I'm the principal at the virtual school. It's a K-12 school in Wichita. We have about 500 to 600 students. And I actually was a high school Spanish teacher for 13 years prior to becoming a principal. So it's been a journey starting in the middle of COVID till now, but we've learned a lot, we've grown, and I think that the future is exponentially opened because of opportunities with technology.
Yep. So you guys have been doing a lot in Wichita with technology and integration into the classroom. I mean, the amount of things that you guys are doing over there, and I think you're a step ahead of a lot of places. Can you share a little bit about how you got started, what you're doing, some of your accomplishments thus far, and then Amanda, I'd love you to kind of dig in a little bit about the virtual school. So when I know you said virtual school, people are like, virtual school, tell me more. Is it growing? How's that going? So just love to share a little bit about Wichita.
It's interesting. I came in August of 2019. The district had pretty much an on-premise mindset of everything, from classroom, old school, to device standpoint. We had just purchased Surface Pros for all staff January of 2020. So kind of set that record there. For where that sets. And then,
Interesting timing there.
March
Did you know something?
It's so interesting because we had the Microsoft store there helping us do deployments, and we were doing some professional development with staff. So just like I did in Omaha, I required an hour of professional development with a Surface Pro because it's a modern computing device. It's not like a desktop experience. It's not even like a laptop experience. It's something that you can unhinge. There's some flexibility there in the classroom with wirelessly displaying and things that you just don't do with another device. And so we were doing that, and in the middle of that, the pandemic hits, and then Microsoft changed how they can do travel, and we were like, okay, we've got to adjust. And oh yeah, by the way, we had done all of this measurements of types of devices for students because we were going to build a 3 to 4 year plan to get to a 1-to-1. And then that comes
3 to
down
4
to
years.
about 6 months.
So 3 to 4 years,
So
3 to 4 months.
that requirement becomes digital equity and access. So that year we supplied over 14,000 families with internet while supplying a 1-to-1 device, which was
awesome.
a Windows 10 device with built-in internet to all of those kids K through 12.
Amazing.
So it was a crazy time.
It was crazy.
Well, you said something very important there, and it's really about the equity and access. At the end of the day, it's not about a fancy device or, it's about providing students that equitable and accessible learning opportunity. And it's not just the device, but it was also the access point, because we know so many students go into homes. I mean, I've got family still today. My nephew is actually in college and still has to go to my parents' house to do his homework because his house still doesn't have, they can't get it, right? They live in a rural area. So providing that access and that equitable device and learning, platform, so important. So kudos to you guys for doing something I know you were thinking 3 to 4 years, and having to turn that into a few months is an amazing feat and accomplishment. So Amanda, tell us, you're live in the ground with not only with the time then, but now, like even still running through a virtual school. How's that been?
So it's a challenge. I started in August 1st of 2020 in a virtual school, so it was like right at the height of the pandemic, and we had a waiting list of 2,500 people. We could only take 500 students at that time just due to staffing.
Let me highlight one thing. We built that virtual school thought in January of 2020.
Yes.
And not knowing that March of 2020 would happen. And then Amanda came on that fall. So she didn't realize the wave that was coming when she came
I did
on.
not. I did not. We worked a lot, but in my classroom and in our school, I've always been very. It's been important to tie what we're doing to real world problems and solutions. Students coming up with solutions to the Sustainable Development Goals through the UN, project-based learning, not just worksheets. And so leading a staff in virtual world, which is, most people think, oh, it's a canned curriculum and they just do this, teachers are just clicking buttons or facilitating. And there was some of that in this school when I took over, but I think that, through the collaboration with the IT department, myself, with Microsoft and the ETF framework, working through to become a Microsoft Showcase school, technology is such a small piece of it. It's more about, how do we engage kids, give them a sense of belonging in school, and give them a purpose to want to learn. And so over the last 2 years, we've really worked hard to build a program where, it's not just the student, it's the family. We're in their houses every day on Teams, and building partnerships in our community, having kids explore different issues in our community that are important to them and ways that we can change those. And then also, I think now we're at the point where our students are able to, we've connected with the local university, Wichita State, and our kids get to go on campus 1 day a week to work in their makerspace to create their products from their projects. So whether it's hydroponics or 3D printing something, the kids actually get to be on campus and do that. And I really think that we know that relationships in education are the most important thing. But that sense of belonging we give them when they come into our classrooms. And then when they graduate, they don't have that sense of belonging anymore. They've never been on a college campus. They've never been at a tech school. So if we could expose them to that from the age of 5 to 18, the possibilities for them are endless, because they feel like, oh, I belong here. I can learn here. I have value in this space. So we're trying to bridge that gap between kindergarten and, being a freshman in college or in a tech school or wherever they want to go, to make them know that no matter where they are, they fit and they have a space there.
Yeah, that's amazing. To listen to leaders like you, and even though your window went from 3 years to 3 months, like there's just a clear plan, right? There's a clear thought. You work through things, and Rob, we've known each other a while between your two roles, and you can tell how much leadership matters. And kind of along those lines, if there's a viewer out there that maybe they don't have leadership like you are, or they know they have a plan and a want to, but they can't get buy-in, how do we encourage folks to get buy-in? Because if you have only 10% of your staff that are in, or leadership that's not in, we know how those things work out. They don't really go well, and it just ends up hurting the students. So how do we generate excitement? How do we get buy-in to really move these initiatives and these programs forward?
I would say it's a couple things. One, from a standpoint, you've got to figure out your narrative and understanding, like, what are those pieces that are currently not there or visible that your leadership can or can't see, that you see as valuable toward the narrative that you're trying to get to. And I think that's important, because one of the things that I talk about our 12 STEM schools, I'm like, I need you guys to tell that story every week. And I need it to be across a lot of different mediums, across a lot of different communities, from both a standpoint of sustainability for me as a leader, but I think also if you don't have that person, that leadership piece there, you've got to tell it even more. That frequency has to be higher so that those folks, even if it's just a nugget, right, that they see a glimpse of this could, if I could replicate what this teacher is doing in this classroom or replicate what these kids are experiencing, then I think they can find some very viable things. And I'd say more than any other time in history, I think the leaders have to and are looking at different solutions because, one, we're losing talent in the profession, right? We understand that the classroom is not going to be the same as it was before. It doesn't act or respond the same way the classroom did before, and you can't continue doing the same thing that you did before. So when you think about those things, you have to really start to think about what systems, and sometimes it's just the environment, right? What things need to change in order to really produce a product, which are students, that contribute back to a society well. And I think honestly, if you look at the future of education, I think we're going to really start to recognize that the connectedness of a student today is very different than the connectedness of a student 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Even maybe 5 or 7 years ago, it's changed that much, right?
Yeah. And so I think for that person that doesn't have the leadership, if they can figure out what are the things and what's the narrative in that, and tell that story over and over to that leader and beyond that leader. Because maybe it's that person's boss who sees that glimpse and says, hey, what are you doing in that classroom? I see Mrs. Smith over here. She's doing some amazing things. What's she doing in there? And that at least can spark something, right?
Yeah.
So you guys touched on something that obviously is top of mind for, I would say, everybody in U.S. education right now, and that's faculty and staff retention.
Yeah.
It's an issue that's relevant in the K-12 space, in the higher education space. We see it bleeding into, just corporate America as well. Right. What are you guys doing inside Wichita to address that? How are you ensuring that you have high performing, educators who are happy and want to be at their job every day so that you can recruit them and retain them? What's that looking like for you guys?
So, one thing that I try really hard to do in our school, and our staff doubled last year from where it started in 2020 until the 2021 school year, just because of so many students coming, so many more students coming, and the sense of belonging, once again, of a staff member. Anybody wants to know that they like you and that they believe in you. And I honestly believe that every person on my staff knows that I value them there and I value their role, and nobody is higher than anyone else. We work together as a team. I might have a vision that is way big, but I need my truth tellers too. I need my people who say, that's awesome, but what about, because you can't have everybody just on your, like, oh, she said we're doing that, everybody's doing that. We need those people to poke holes and show us where we're going to fall, because they're just as important on the team as the visionary person. And so I think I've tried to create that, at least at my school, that environment of we all have a purpose and we all have to work together to make this succeed. And it doesn't matter if you are the person that are, that's in charge of cleaning the building, or if you are the person leading the school. Everybody has a job, everybody has a purpose, and I think that's really worked for our team. People don't want to go. They're like, we want to stay, which is awesome. That's a great problem to have. But in education in general, yes, we are losing talent, and so we have to look at how we use time and space differently. Rob talks about this a lot in our district because there are only so many people that can teach auto mechanics. They're just not a lot. So how are we going to be innovative and creative with how we use that teacher that is certified and is has all of the things that we need him to be able to do to span across a district with 50,000 students, because we can't have one in every school, because we just don't have the talent and the educators to do that. And so we pilot new things every year to try and to try and serve our students best.
Yep. Do you have a unique perspective, maybe even in the IT side of the house as well?
Sure. I would say, number one, I'm really flexible with my staff more than I was before, allowing them, if need be, not coming into the office, having some flexibility around that, especially with the people that can do that. Also think in the classroom, we're introducing some hybrid models and thinking about the future of talent. So computer science this next year, Kansas is requiring all high schools by 2023-24 school year to have computer science. We're doing it this fall.
Woohoo.
And we're doing it centrally and providing it in a hybrid style to every single high school. And so when you think about that, there will be a need in the future. Let's say it's AP English. You have to have a master's degree to have that certificate to teach AP English. There's a likelihood that you're going to have to find that talent somewhere else in your high school in order to supply that. And so just as we all transformed our conference rooms, right? Nobody has full face-to-face meetings. We now have hybrid meetings, or we have full Teams meetings. And so your conference rooms now have, built-in cameras in them with speakers and mics, and so we've changed those spaces. It will start to shift and change the space in the classroom to kind of fit those needs as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get creative, especially, you mentioned computer science, and that's a real big one for us here in the U.S., right? We know that we need more graduates in computer science and just technology in general. That, I think I was just reading somewhere recently that like 60% of cybersecurity jobs are unfilled right now because we don't have the talent to fill them.
Right.
But how do we get the teachers that have the credentials to teach those things to the students? So I think it's really going to be about this high flex hybrid model and maybe a centralized teacher, but then pushing it out to so many different students and giving them that opportunity to learn potentially at a technical certification level as well. So kudos to you guys for kind of being ahead of that.
Yeah. I'd say our states are slow. We're even working outside of our state to work with our local universities to provide, because we're building an AI pathway out of computer science as well as a cybersecurity pathway. And so because our state is slow to recognize that, and it's like, I honestly feel like we've got to work with industry more often because
Agreed.
The future of jobs is changing that dramatically.
Yeah.
Like it's shifting.
Yeah,
Well,
we can't wait for our government.
we can't. And I think about it from the teacher prep and credentialing program perspective, that I feel like those training programs are already a little bit behind.
Oh, sure.
And so the pipeline, not just retaining current talent, but bringing in new, ready to go talent. We got to close that gap really quickly and get those new teachers ready to go with true 21st century teaching skills for the students.
Yep.
Well, we so appreciate having you guys here with us this morning, and I also wanted to shout out the investment you have made as a school district here, bringing teachers to ISTE for this learning experience is commendable. We recognize that, and I think it's an investment that will continue to pay off year over year over year. I remember my first ISTE experience actually was in 2008, so I'm going to date myself. But it was the moment that my school district was like, hey, there's this conference, it's called ISTE. We want to send you to learn more. You seem to really love technology in the classroom. And I remember that year back in 2008, I think the theme of ISTE that year, it wasn't their theme, but it was just all about podcasts and how to create a podcast. And I was like, oh, here we are in 2022. And actually, they're very popular now.
Very useful in a number of different ways, right?
And so there's so much to learn, but it's the opportunities that are going to be put forward for these teachers and the learning experiences that we'll have here. So let's close this off by let's share one thing you're hoping that your educators will get from this event this week.
Of that 17, I can't wait to see their faces after today, especially the first day. It's such an overwhelming experience.
It is.
And I think for them, I just want them to bring back 3 things. That's what I've asked all of them. Just bring back 3 things. And I think for myself, it's like, what is that spark that's going to make that teacher do something different in that classroom or that? And it's like, not everyone's going to do the same 3 things or have the same 3, but you're going to have like this whole buffet of different experiences.
Yeah. You'll have 17 times 3.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know what the math is, but a lot.
Tons of options. Yep, tons of options.
That's funny. I just hope that they learn look and see and learn how to take just that one step, right?
Yeah.
We can't have educators go from 0 to 100, but we can have them go from 0 to 1 and then 1 to 2. And so this is their first chance of getting to dip their toe into something different and to see and be surrounded by a community of innovative and creative people. And, you know, to feel that excitement and want to bring it back. And sometimes they're a little scared, but it's okay. You know, you have support. And there's 21 of them, so we can all help make that one step. And with that one step, then comes another.
Yeah. And hopefully they can hold each other accountable, because that your first ISTE is a lot. I remember mine in 2015 and being like, it feels like 5 million people are here, and it's so many sessions, and where do I go and how do I navigate? So having that little community, you know, of people who can hold each other accountable, share ideas, is going to be, as you know, incredibly beneficial for you guys moving forward.
All right, and we have to end with a fun question. We are in New Orleans, you know, so thus far, or looking forward, what's the best food you've eaten in New Orleans thus far, or are you looking forward to eat? We'll start with you, Amanda.
Okay, so mine was last night at the Microsoft event. They had shrimp and grits that
It
were
was so good.
amazing. Oh my gosh, they were so good.
So good.
And I don't normally like grits, but I was like, that's good food.
It was that extra garlic.
Yes, it was. It was so good.
So I stood in line for like an hour yesterday for lunch at the Turkey and the Wolf, and it's a unique place. I had a chicken, ham, avocado sandwich on that had some balsamic like grilled into it. It was an amazing sandwich. Amazing.
All right. Well, I know I haven't had my beignet yet. I've been here for a couple of days, but it's definitely on the list very soon. I definitely need to get my regular beignet, praline. What for you, Scott?
We were in a little bit early and did a food tour on Friday. So I got my
jealous.
gumbo, I got my red beans and rice. I think I'm up to 4 portions of either Bananas Foster or Banana Foster's bread pudding. I'm clearly a sweets guy. So I'm getting my fill, but Cafe du Monde and beignets tomorrow.
Did you get any boudin on Friday?
We did have boudin as well.
All right,
Yep.
all right.
We've been all over the Cajun Creole map. So Peloton bike at home, I'm coming for you when I get back. I'm going to need you for sure.
Hey, we're getting lots of steps in at ISTE. So.
That's true too.
Well, thank you guys so much for the work that you're
Seriously.
leading in Wichita. Thank you for being part of our MIE and Microsoft Education family, our Showcase School program. This is all about you, and if there's a way we can elevate what you guys are doing even to a greater scale, we want to do that. Let us be your megaphone. Everybody needs to hear your story, and if you want to learn more about what they're doing, definitely check these guys out. You should follow them on Twitter. Go ahead, give yourself a
Show me Rob.
Show me Rob.
Amanda Jean Young.
Amanda Jean Young. You heard it from them. They're amazing. Thank you guys.
Thank
High
you.
fives all
Thanks so
around.
much, y'all. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
And close
And
it off.
to us. Love it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Wow, wasn't that amazing conversation?
Those two, I said to you post-interview, if they had a job and they wanted to move me tomorrow, I'd go work for them. Just to be around them, their energy, their passion, their thought-driven leadership, really, really impressive.
Yes. What's next, you ask? Time to eat some oysters. Let's do this.
Let's do it.